the cosy town of Hollyvale, there was no place as beloved as the Sweet Spot Bakery. The air always smelled of cinnamon, sugar, and freshly baked bread. Owned by kindly old Mrs. Kringle, the bakery was famous for its holiday cookies, especially her snowflake sugar swirls, which sold out every Christmas Eve. This year, Mrs. Kringle had an ambitious goal. She wanted to bake 1,000 cookies to donate to the town's annual Christmas feast. But as her arthritis slowed her hands, she feared she might not finish in time. Meanwhile, across town, 12-year-old Mia was reluctantly helping her dad, Dave, who had taken over the bakery after Mrs. Kringle hired him as a holiday assistant. Mia wasn't thrilled. "Why do I have to spend my vacation here?" she complained, dragging a bag of flour. Dave chuckled. "Because you ate half the cookies last year and Mrs. Kringle is counting on us." At the North Pole, Santa had a different problem. His mischievous elf, Sprinkles, was wreaking havoc in the toy workshop. Sprinkles was an expert at getting into trouble, and this time he'd accidentally covered the entire workshop in sticky marshmallow fluff. "Sprinkles!" Santa said, exasperated. "You need to learn the value of responsibility. I'm sending you on a special mission." Sprinkles perked up. "A mission? For me?" Santa handed him a small pouch of magical baking dust. "Take this to Hollyvale's Sweet Spot Bakery. Mrs. Kringle needs some extra help this Christmas." Sprinkles saluted, but as soon as he arrived at the bakery, the real trouble began. Sprinkles materialized in the bakery with a poof of glittery smoke, startling Mia and Dave. What are you?" Mia stammered, staring at the tiny elf who was barely taller than a mixing bowl. "I'm Sprinkles, your magical helper," he declared, scattering baking dust everywhere. Dave shrugged. "If you're here to help, grab an apron." But Sprinkles' help quickly turned chaotic. He whisked batter so fast it splattered all over the walls. He enchanted the rolling pin to roll dough by itself, but it zoomed off the counter, crashing into a stack of cookie cutters. Mia groaned. "You're making it worse." Determined to prove himself, Sprinkles decided to use Santa's magical baking dust. He sprinkled it over the dough, muttering, "A dash of magic never hurts." At first, the cookies seemed perfect, golden brown and smelling of vanilla. But then the cookies began to move. Dad? Why are the cookies walking?" Mia asked, pointing to a tray of gingerbread men that were now marching across the counter. "Oh no," Sprinkles gasped. "I used too much magic." The enchanted cookies caused absolute mayhem. They climbed up the shelves, tumbled into flour bags, and even launched themselves at Dave, who swatted them away with a spatula. As the chaos spiraled, Mrs. Kringle arrived. "What on earth is going on here?" she asked, narrowly dodging a flying gingerbread man. "Magic cookies," Mia said, pointing to Sprinkles. "He started it." Sprinkles looked sheepish. "I just wanted to help." Mrs. Kringle took a deep breath. "Well, we need to fix this before the Christmas feast. We'll have to outsmart the cookies." The group split up. Mia and Sprinkles lured the cookies into jars with candy bait. Dave used his mixing spoon like a hockey stick to corral the cookies into the oven. Mrs. Kringle sprinkled flour on the floor to slow them down. Finally, all the magical cookies were captured, and the kitchen was a mess of flour, sugar, and Sprinkles. The elf, not the topping. Mia turned to Sprinkles. "You're more trouble than you're worth." Sprinkles frowned. "I just wanted to make Christmas special." Mrs. Kringle smiled kindly. "Magic isn't about perfection, it's about heart. Let's try again, together." Sprinkles nodded. And this time, everyone worked as a team. Sprinkles added just a pinch of magic dust, and Mia discovered she was a natural at decorating cookies. Even Dave perfected his piping skills. By Christmas morning, the bakery had 1,000 beautifully decorated cookies ready for the feast. The townspeople marveled at the treats, and the mayor declared them the best cookies ever. Sprinkles, proud of his efforts, returned to the North Pole with a jar of cookies for Santa. Mia, now a baking enthusiast, decided she liked working at the bakery after all. As the family watched the snowfall that evening, Mia smiled at her dad. Maybe Christmas isn't so bad, even if it's covered in flour.